This is my first time rendering, and I'm going to be rendering my house extension. So if you've seen any of my other videos, I built a house extension with no experience, and now I'm about to render that house extension with no rendering experience either. All of this in block needs to be rendered. I've already put the beads on, so you can see I've used that pink grip to hold these beads nice and firm to the wall. They're 100mm beads, and this is the side that I'm going to attempt first. So this is the neighbour's fence, and they've allowed me to take these panels out so I can get access to this area. It's not really very visible for anybody else other than the neighbours, and the fence covers halfway up. So I'm hoping that I can make a really nice job of this side and then move round to the front and then the other side, which will be seen the most. I've got a few bits here. These are the tools that I'll be using. So I've got a big bucket and it's got some lines on here, and I'm going to work out just how much water I need per bag. I've also got a scratcher. I'm not really sure what this is called, from Ox Tools. Just a standard trowel, a hawk, and this hawk is one that my dad made because he likes making things like this. It's a bit small though for this job, I think. This will scratch the render, and I've got this feather edge here, which is silver line feather edge. So the last thing is this mixer. I think you need a big mixer for this. I'm borrowing this off a friend, so I'm going to use it, clean it, make sure it's clean, and then give it back when I'm done with it. This is the render that I'm going to be using. It's supposed to be really good stuff, so we'll see, won't we? We just need to work out what the mixing instructions are. So I've been mixing for about 5 minutes, and that's the consistency. Looks about right to me. It's about time to get something on the wall. So I saw a video on YouTube from Skill Builder, and he just said the first coat you just got to get on nice and quickly. Doesn't matter about it being too smooth, just literally level is fine. So that's what I've been doing in this corner. It's really difficult with access with these ladders. I'm sure professionals would have scaffolding. I actually do have scaffolding, but as you can see, there's no real space to get in over there. So this is the way I'm doing it, and hopefully it works. I'm going to keep going because I know that I need to get it on before it really does start going off and makes it hard work. But so far, so good. I've used one bucket of this Monocouche render, and it's covered a bigger area than I thought it would. It's roughly 10mm all over. I've used the straight edge, or whatever you call it, feather edge actually. I've used the feather edge to level it all off, and then I've just gone over it with a trowel just to give it a bit of a smoother texture, although I will be going back and scratch coating it anyway. But this is what I've got. So you might not be able to see very well in this light. From this part down is uneven, but it's just that bit there that I've done. It should get easier now I'm in this part because I'm not climbing up the ladders all the time. I think I finally finished the render. I don't know how I feel about it, but at least it's good practice, at least. So I've done as much as I can, and I've used 3 bags. I've gone over it with a feather edge, I've gone over it with a wet trowel, and hopefully the final reveal looks good. Although there is a scratch coat to go on top of this, so I'm not too worried about the small lines. I think what I was mainly concerned about was getting the whole level right, so there's no big lumps and bumps. So when I go over it with the scratch coat, I'm just taking off all the fine little lines that I've left from the trowel, and it should be really nice. So let's have a look. Oh, I've done about 5 hours of rendering and I'm knackered. I can't. The guys who do this for a living earn their money, let me tell you. My hands, my forearms are really aching. I think I've done an okay job, but I mean, just check this out. Don't know if you can see in the light, but I'm absolutely covered in the stuff. Oh man, I'm not looking forward to doing the other walls, but I have learnt a lot, so it should be a little bit easier. So these are my top takeaways from what I've learned from doing the first wall. Get the first coat on quick. Although it's 1 coat render, I think if you do 1 thin coat on really quick, and you can let that dry a little bit, then the second coat, when you get that on nice and quick too, you've got something that is a bit more sticky for the top coat to stick to. So you're not pushing around all of the mix when you're just using your trowel, you're just doing that top layer, and that's going to make leveling a lot easier. That's one thing. Second is wetting the trowel, wetting the feather edge. Wetting both of those things when it comes to doing the final bit of leveling off makes it a little bit easier to drag it down, and it isn't pulling off a lot of the render. Make sure you mix in 3 parts. So I've been putting 1/3 of the bag into the water, mixing, another 1/3 mixing, and then the final 1/3 of the bag into the water. It seems to give a really nice, well mixed consistency. So that's a really good one. Definitely wear a mask when you're mixing this stuff. Have 2 buckets. Once you've used the mixer in the render bucket, move it straight into a water bucket, and have just a big water bucket nearby just to dip your tools in and just keep them clean and it'll make it easier to work with. There'll probably be more tips as I go through the project and onto the other walls, but for now that's everything, and I look forward to doing the scratch coat next. Okay, the weather's crap today, but I've started scratch coating the render, and let me tell you, it's dusty work and it's hard on the shoulders as well, especially after yesterday doing so much rendering. But I've done probably 1/3 of the wall with the scratch coat, and it's starting to come out really nice. So I don't know if you can see on this camera, but you can see where I've done the scratch coat compared to the normal coat. You see, like, this is a smooth area, and then obviously this is all scratched up. Once it's all done, it's going to look really nice and smooth and have that little texture that I've been looking for. Because I've just finished the scratch coat on the Monocouche render, and my hair is a mess. It's covered in the render as well, so ignore that. But I'm really happy with the result. I've never done this before, and I've tried really hard. I've put my heart and soul into it, and I've learned a lot as well. But this is the final result. This is the final result, okay? It's just started to rain, which is typical. But it's so smooth and level, and it's got this beautiful texture on the surface as well. Yeah, I think it needs 2 more days to fully cure, and then it'll be rock hard. At the moment it's still just a tiny bit soft, but you know, this is the day after, so I'm not surprised. And the weather isn't exactly really hot either. That's 1 wall done, 3 more to go. Okay, so now the rendering is finally done on that 1 wall. I've learned so much from the whole process, and I just know that the other 2 walls that I've got to do are going to be so much easier, and the result will be even better, even though I'm very happy with the result of the first wall. So here's some learnings. I went through a couple after just rendering the side, and that was mainly just getting the material on the wall, how to level it off, how to smooth it off afterwards, and just make sure you've got that nice level coverage. So after I've done the scratch coat, I've realised that the finish doesn't actually have to be really smooth. So I was thinking of it almost like plastering a wall, and I was using the trowel to get it so smooth and trying to get rid of the lines. That doesn't seem to really matter, because when you're scratch coating anyway, you're taking off all of those little lines anyway. The main thing is to get it nice and level and a consistent thickness. And also, and in true transparency, there's only 2 tiny spots about the size of a 10p piece, which is where the renders kind of come away from the wall, so you could see the block work behind. I think the reason why that is because in those areas I tried to put the whole 10mm thickness on with 1 trowel push, and that doesn't seem to be the right way of doing it. So Skill Builder shows this in his video, and what he does, he puts on a thin coat at first, which then soaks into and adheres to the block work behind, or the brickwork, and then you put your almost like your finish coat on top, although it's all 1 coat. So yeah, I think that's a really good way of doing it actually, and that's what I did at the bottom of the wall. I put on a nice thin coat, and almost, not immediately after, but say half an hour after, when it was still tacky and still wet, I put my top coat on as well. And then when you're pushing your trowel across the wall, you're not actually pushing all of the material, you're only pushing that top layer, so it makes things a lot easier. It's easier to get it all smooth and equal and level. And then obviously a real big game changer for me was having that feather edge, wetting it, pressing it on the wall, and then moving it in a side-to-side motion like that as I pulled it down the wall. And that kind of that helped with the level, so it got it nice and level all the way across the span of my feather edge, but it actually stopped from dragging the material off the wall and kind of like pushed the material into the wall as I moved down. So these are all learnings from someone who's never done rendering before, and maybe these things are taken for granted by plasterers and people who do this for a living. But these are the things that I've learned that hopefully you can try on your project if you ever try and do any rendering. I would say that if you are going to try and do some rendering, try it on a small wall first. I tried it on the biggest wall in, on the property, which is just, and that was really hard work, especially because I only have a ladder. Next time I'll be setting up my scaffolding, because that's going to make things a lot quicker and allow me to get the material on faster. And getting it on faster is going to help me get that nice, better consistency and better level. So those are the learnings. I hope you learn from this just like I have, And if anybody does any projects like this, any of their own rendering, and they've seen my video, make sure you tag me in your video. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I am obviously on YouTube. So tag me in, I'll watch it, and I'll comment and just congratulate you on giving it a go yourself. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you've liked this video, and I'll see you guys soon.